Hey everyone, in Season 3, Episode 9 of Marketing Ninja Unleashed, I'm diving into what growth really means for your brand and for you. I'll be sharing how you can measure brand awareness in a way that actually drives some long-term success, what small businesses can learn from the rise in mergers and acquisitions, and how dealing with redundancy helped me build resilience, both personally and professionally. Plus, I explore one of my favourite quotes from Vinh Giang. You're a direct reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and why surrounding yourself with the right people matters the most when you're running a business. It's all about growth, mindset, and building brands that actually last. Hi everyone, welcome back to Marketing Ninja Unleashed. This is episode 9 of season 3, and I know this season is going on for longer than normal, but I had so many wonderful guests, I just didn't want you to miss out. For anybody that doesn't know me already, I'm Rena, founder of You and Your Story, and as always, I'm here to help you build a brand that connects, grows, and most importantly, lasts. It's been such an incredible few months, and between workshops, podcast interviews, and working with some brilliant businesses, I've had the time to really reflect on growth, personally and professionally. Ultimately, marketing isn't just about campaigns or social media. It's about the people, the mindset, and the stories that sit behind it all. So in today's episode, we're diving into 4 big topics focused on growth, both for your business and for you personally. Starting with how to measure brand awareness, because that's what's going to build long-term growth. I also talk about mergers and acquisitions and how you can learn from the biggest companies that are using them to grow. On a more personal note, I discuss what I learned about resilience after dealing with redundancy and how that helped me grow personally. And finally, I talk about how important it is to have the right people around you professionally. So whether you're out walking the dog, commuting to work, or sitting down with your favourite coffee, this episode is for you. So let's begin with a question. How well do people know your brand? I talk a lot about marketing growth, but one thing I see missed is the measurement of brand awareness. It's easy to track clicks, conversions, and campaigns. But I want you to ask yourself, do people recognize you? Would they think of you when your service is needed? Brand awareness is a foundation of long-term growth, because if people don't know you exist or don't know what you stand for, then no amount of ads will build deep relationships. So, how can you measure brand awareness? Start by running a simple survey with your audience, or even your wider market. If you can and have some budget, use a third-party research company. That way, you're not influencing your audience. Ask questions like, which companies do you think of for your service? What do you associate with this brand? Then revisit these questions every 6 or 12 months. Over time, you'll see if your presence, your story, and your clarity are making an impact. The other thing you should be doing is checking how often your brand appears in the media, on social media, in the form of comments, conversations about your industry, or even your competitors. You can use media monitoring tools or even log into your social platforms to spot the mentions, tags, and reposts. And don't forget to look at assisted conversions. That's where people see you first, but then ask about you later on, or ask somebody else for your brand name. That very first encounter is brand awareness doing its job. Maybe they didn't convert immediately, but they remembered you when there was a need, meaning you're at the top of their mind for the product or service that you offer. So if you're listening and you've been focusing only on performance marketing, you need to plan a pause and start allocating some budget and time to monitoring awareness activities. Make sure you're tracking it by asking the right questions, measuring the right signals, and being patient. Brand awareness isn't a quick win. It's the groundwork for every single win that follows. Moving on to business growth. This is a big strategic shift, but one that you can't achieve from just marketing. Mergers and acquisitions. An article from the Boston Consulting Group that my mentor shared with me showed that global mergers and acquisitions activity rose by 10% in the first 9 months of 2025 compared with the same period last year. Now, you're probably thinking, that's just for the big corporate companies. But listen, the principles of mergers and acquisitions apply to small businesses too. Growth doesn't always come from more sales. It can come from smart acquisition. Buying aligned businesses, merging with complementary services, or even acquiring talent and client lists to accelerate your reach. So here's how you can apply it. Identify businesses that serve the same customer but don't compete with you. Leverage their assets, and that means brand, team, clients, and integrate your storytelling, systems, and values. Make sure the story fits. When you merge, you're starting to combine narratives. Make sure you narrate it well. Customers should feel continuity, not confusion. This rise in mergers and acquisitions shows that the big brands know growth is strategic. For you, that might mean acquiring a niche service or merging with a local partner to dominate a region. When you merge, you inherit brand awareness, and then you inject your story, tone, and emotional connection into it. That gives you rapid growth and brand depth at the same time. So if you're ready to grow beyond marketing campaigns, consider this. You don't just need to chase customers. You can buy customers and services, integrate stories, and scale with intention.
Are you one of the 1.5 million UK customers that have used MedExpress for your healthcare journey? If not, accessing treatments for sexual health is now easier than ever. You don't need to visit your GP or pharmacy. Just complete a short online consultation to find the right treatment for you. We'll send your treatment directly to your door, delivered to you in discreet packaging with ongoing support from our experienced UK-based medical team. Take the first step towards managing your health concerns with confidence. Visit medexpress.co.uk/podcast to learn more.
Now I want to switch gears and talk about personal growth, and in particular, dealing with redundancy. After just 18 months of my first proper marketing job, I found myself being made redundant. And then again in 2017, it was happening all over again. The company I worked for was being restructured and my role wasn't safe. That's not the tale of triumph that you often find in marketing books, but it did teach me one of the hardest lessons of my life. All of a sudden, that safety net was gone. My title was gone. The plan was disrupted. At first, I felt lost. My identity had been tied to that job. I was the brand marketing manager. But in that insecurity, I discovered something far more valuable. My why. When you face redundancy, you realize that your experience, your stories, your values are what you carry, not the job title. After the second time, I forced myself to answer some tough questions. Who am I without the label? What story do I want to tell? What brand do I represent? I realized I didn't want to climb the marketing ladder. So I turned down a promotion to work for a smaller company. I then decided that employment wasn't right for me, and I asked myself the same questions all over again. The answers to those questions paved the way for you and your story, and here we are today. But beyond that internal shift, the marketing lesson is clear. Start building your personal brand. Know what you stand for and what your why is, and what you want to be remembered for. Markets will change, jobs will vanish, and that's why resilience really matters. Build your personal brand so that redundancy isn't the end, it's a new beginning. Make sure you've got stories and relationships that last longer than your current role. I look back now and realize that redundancy scared me, but it also freed me. It made me realize that marketing isn't about titles or security. It's about connection, trust, and purpose. And when you build your personal brand in that way, you're not safe from change, but you are open to the next opportunity. Staying on personal growth, one of the things that I realized later in life is that personal growth isn't completely on you. One of my favorite quotes comes from communications coach Vinh Giang. You are the direct reflection of the top 5 people around you. That simple line hit me really hard. It isn't just about influence, it's about identity, culture, and brand. If you spend your day with risk takers, you start thinking differently. If you surround yourself with negativity, it shows in your marketing, your client conversations, even your team culture. After a few years of running you and your story and doing everything I could to please all of my clients, I realized I needed to change the company around me. I stopped accepting clients who drained my energy and invested in those that were willing to invest in themselves. I found myself drawn to a network of entrepreneurs, story-led creators, and marketers who challenged me. And guess what? My own business tone, energy, and output completely changed. My message for you? Audit your inner circle. Not necessarily your social circle, but your professional circle. Who are the 5 people you bump into the most often? Their mindset, energy, habits, they reflect back on you. Putting it in marketing terms, if your 5 influencers are all chasing quick wins, your strategy will follow them. If they're focused on depth, connection, and storytelling, you'll move in that direction. Your brand is only as strong as the voice guiding it, and part of that voice comes from the company that you keep. So, here's your challenge. Write down the top 5 people you spend time with professionally. Next to that, ask yourself what mindset, values, and actions do they bring to you? Are they lifting you or limiting you? Because your brand story isn't just a narrative that you craft, it's the story that you live, shaped by the environment that you're in. Elevate those people around you, and your personal brand rises with them. Growth has been the thread that ties this episode together, and I hope wherever you are in building your story, you remember that every day is a new opportunity to grow, learn, and be better than you were yesterday. Whether you're measuring how well your brand is known, coping with a major change like redundancy, auditing who you're surrounded by, or exploring big growth strategies like mergers and acquisitions, your story is the constant. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Marketing Ninja Unleashed. I'm Rena, and remember, you and your story is here to make sure your story is the one that the world won't forget.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.